fix your eyes on Him. First point. After that, to keep your eyes focused on Him. He will use everything in His power, and that should scare you, to put you into a situation, to get you to say, just look up. You're running towards a cliff. Who's going to catch you? There's no cliff here, hop on. How many times can we think back? How many times can we think back? I think back. Lord, how? How am I still here? Climbing in a car, driving home drunk, 230 km an hour. 230 kilometers an hour. Power sliding around Galuli's interchange. Literally came up to a point, saw a barrier, yanked my wheel, car went, I corrected and I went straight. That still gives me chills to this day, that the only way I stayed alive is because God was holding the car. How many people do not have that? I can list probably 2 or 3 people that I know of that were a couple of years below me or above me. That guys doing 180 calories an hour, dirt drunk, in a city car, wrapped around a tree, 5 mates in, 1 man walks out. I can tell you of 2 cases that happened in my school alone. Guys I knew. 4 dead, 1 alive. I did the same thing. Why am I still here? How am I still here? My best mate was sitting next to me. Pastor? 2 families would have been devastated because of booze and let's see how fast my car can go. There is protection. You have to understand that God is protecting you, keeping you safe for a very purpose. If you would only yield to that, we are hell-bent on our own destruction. We will do everything in our power of doing whatever for the sake of fun, for the sake of VR because it's cool, for the sake of whatever. Drugs, sleeping around, disco until all nights, getting into fights, whatever. Because that's what you need right now, and that's okay. Because the world will tell you this is normal. It's all about you as an individual, and God is standing there putting His hair out, trying to get you to focus on Him and going, if you would just look up. Let me show you what I see. And as soon as He lifts you up to that pedestal, and He starts showing you what you're doing, you start to see the cliffs. You start to see that time that He held the car on the ground. You start to see that time when you and your mates passed out outside of a club. We found our mate on North Ring Road, passed out against the wall. We thought he was a hobo. We can joke about this. Man, Finley walked up to him and he's like, hey, check out this bum. And then we realized it was our buddy. He passed out, he didn't even know. Walking home alone on North Ring Road, passed out on the wall. Anybody could have taken him. Anybody could have killed him. He could have stumbled into the road at any given time. Why is he still alive? How is that going to get me to anywhere that's going to get me peace? Would I want that for my kids? You laugh because it's you. Just imagine that you're lighting this because you're doing it. All of a sudden things change. Because you start to realize, I love you that much that I don't want that for you. So I want to protect you, I want to warn you, I want to tell you how bad this can be for you. I want to give you everything you possibly need to try and protect you from that destruction. Give you the information, give you the heart, and that's exactly what God is doing. He needs to teach him a lesson to bring him up to the point. But he will keep the head and the heart safe. Israel does not beat if Jerusalem does not beat. It was like it then, it's like it now. Even though there's no temple. Even though you can't even go to Temple Mount with the Bible because the Muslims say you're not allowed to. Even though, I promise you, if Jerusalem is not there, that country will not function. Because that's what God said, I will be here forever. Okay?
Spirit. I thought it was very, it was so simple, but it was actually quite powerful. I don't know who you watched. I don't know who sent it. That little clip on Monday with the baby Benny and then.
Oh, yeah.
It's really worth going to go back and watch it if you haven't seen it.
It was a...
Like, it was so simple, but it was actually so powerful, the message behind it.
Yeah, it was that cookie that was trying to eat it and he kept on eating. Yeah. Go have a look. Verse 11. For this is what the Lord said to me, and he took me by the hand, and he charged me not to walk in the path of that people. You must not call conspiracy. All that the people calls conspiracy, nor revere what it reveres, nor hold it in awe. None but the Lord of hosts shall you account holy. Give reverence to him alone. Hold him alone in awe. He shall be for a sanctuary, a stone men strike against, a rock men stumble over for the two houses of Israel, and the trap and a snare for those who dwell in Jerusalem. The masses shall trip over these, and shall fall and be injured, shall be snared and be caught. Bind up the message, seal the instruction with my Talmidim, my disciples. Who does that remind you of? Yeshua. They stumbled because of him, it says in the Gospels. And seal it up with the instruction of my disciples. They recognized what they couldn't, what the rest of Jerusalem didn't. Well, not saying the rest. Let's say many in power didn't. Okay, because many Pharisees, many people of Sanhedrin and all the rest of it actually did understand who he was. Okay? Going on to verse 17. Okay, but I want to rewind a little bit. None but the Lord of hosts shall you account as holy. Give reverence to him alone. The warning he gives Yeshayahu here is do not walk like they walk. The whole point of holy means you're set apart, you separate. You're not living for yourself, you're living for God. You cannot be 1 foot in the world, 1 foot not. You're sitting there like this going, okay, today I'm a really good Christian and the next time I'm really living the life. You cannot be so focused on worldly matters that you forget to focus on God. Or once a week when you're sitting in this room, or maybe twice a week, you're sitting here and you're going, yeah, we all forgot. And as soon as you leave our chat, then you're all worried about, well, okay, let's be silly. How much money you're going to make? Because that's all about you. You just want to make money so you can build stuff for yourself. Not what you wear, not how good looking you are. Your focus can be completely on worldly things. I've seen guys in the gym whose lives are about how they look in the mirror. Exercise is good for you. God made you to work, and guess what? It's tough. But if you do it to be healthy, no problem. If you do it to stand there looking in the mirror like, no one else is looking, I'll walk away. No one else is looking. Their whole life is about how they look. They literally are in there 5 days a week looking at themselves in the mirror. And you're thinking, what are you really doing? They're trying to puff themselves up and make themselves something because they want the world to see how awesome they are. And you stop and you think, but God kind of put you together, bro, and you actually have very little say in what you look like. Okay? In certain aspects, we go way too far. Your job. This is a toughie, because God will walk in and you're like, yes, I'm a chartered accountant and I have so many years experience, and then you go, okay, Lord, take me. And he goes, which? You got no job. But I'm a chartered accountant. No, that's what you did. Who are you? I'm a chartered accountant. No, you're not. I don't see any books in my hand. I've seen him do this to people. Their identity was in their profession. Who they were was, I was going to say, hi, I'm John, and it is actually Uncle John. Hi, I'm John. I'm the ISO manager for this and this and this. And then they came here and they were introduced to Torah, and they did a complete 180, and they kept the feast, and it was all very exciting. And the one thing that God has refused to give him is title. as in occupation, as in this is who I am. Because that's who he used to be, and that's what he trusted in. It took him his whole life to get to a certain level, at the pinnacle of his career. But that's what he trusted in. And God goes, no, boy, that's what you did. I will give you a job to provide for you. I can provide for the company to pay you, but that's not who you are. That's not what I made you to be. And if you're so focused on that, you are displacing the fact that only God is holy and you have to walk in reverence with Him alone. Do what you're passionate about. Enjoy it, but realize this is the only way God puts you in a place to reach other people, and while you're there doing what God told you to do, reach other people, He'll give you some money. That's it. Money has nothing to it. You need these things.
Yeah.
What I really want from you is, hi, my name's Vince. I'm rather passionate about God, as you can see. And I will have to be able to stop and doing my work or whatever, and I'll have to be able to be open enough to have a conversation with the customer who's all of a sudden going through a rough time or wants to ask a question about the Bible, or as God would have it, He likes to introduce me to a few Jewish brothers that are a little less observant than what they should, and then they go, "That's it? Yeah. Did you fast? Yeah." And one guy, met a new customer not too long ago, just after Yom Kippur, came up to me and he's like, "What's that on your belt?" I'm like, "Tzitzit." I didn't know he was Jewish, he wasn't going to Kippur or anything. He's like, "What do you know about tzitzit?" I'm like, "I'm pretty kosher." He's like, stops and thinks for a second, he goes, "Did you fast last week?" I'm like, "Yeah." Took the day off, stayed at home, fast, had a good service. He's like, "You're better than me." I'm like, "Okay, why didn't you fast last week?" And you are there to be a light for God. And remember, you can't be there so busy running around, focusing yourself, your time on you, and you forget to keep your eyes on Him. You're alive because He's kept you alive. You're healthy because He's kept you healthy. Baruch Hashem. And you have a purpose to reach people that God will see you, or they will see God through you. By the way you act, by the way you talk, and how passionate you are about this. So passionate enough that you don't just na 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 na. I did that. I'm a Christian! Pastor Tequila. Okay? I have done that. I was speaking Christianese. I said all the right things when I was asking questions, but I lived like the world. I had to stop that. I had to let go of that because that was only destroying me. So that I could come to a place and I could say, okay, God, show me what I need to be doing. And all of a sudden, I'm in front of people instead of in front of a mob. So rather than more transformation. Anyway, okay. Verse 17. So I will wait for the Lord. Yeah. Wait. Another thing we struggle with. I will wait for the Lord, who is hiding His face from the house of Jacob, and I will trust Him. How many of you feel that sometimes? Mm-hmm. Hey, where you at?
Ready?
No, okay, bye.
Here? How about that?
Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes God needs to let go of the seat and watch you pay. Okay? He does not do this to tease you. He does this to test you. We go through these motions when you first come into the faith and you're all on fire and your heart's all fuzzy bubbles, you know, and it's all like the first beginning stages of love. Oh, he's looking at me. And then you look across the room and then you lock eyes and you're like, oh, he's still looking at me. And then they're coming over here and it's all the bubbles and all the excitement. And then you hold hands for the first time. And then you spend 4 hours getting ready, or for the guys, am I good? You know? Actually washing and spraying and stuff and getting all pretty and making sure everything's nice, cleaning the car, getting extra money just in case you want, you know, bigger milkshake or something. It's like, no, I'm going to play it smooth. And they pull up and they fetch you and then you're like, oh, he's here. All this excitement, all that pumping, all that preening. all that excitement, and then you date for a while. And then you get married, and you're all excited again, and then you date, and then all of a sudden, a kid later, a couple of less hours of sleep, and then you look across the room, and you're like, really? No, you're not going to get this right. All of a sudden, the bubbles and the butterflies and everything, when you lock eyes for the first, that dissipates, man, that goes. Are you in this marriage because you love me, or are you in this marriage because of the butterflies? God's going to test you the same way. Do you love me enough? You say you love me, you said you love me enough to follow my instruction, to give your heart, to give me your mind, to let me flow through you, to change you, so that I can make you something beautiful, man. Something that can lift up, and I can show you to the world, and you can reflect me. They can really see God through you. If we get this right, you've heard me say before, they will see Yeshua, they will see Christ. But every now and again, he's got to step away, and he's got to go, all right, you know I've been with you up until this point. I promised you I'll never leave you nor forsake you. But walk. But I don't want to leave you. I don't want to hold my hand while I skip through the meadows. No. Sometimes you have to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and go sort your skits up, man. And you don't want to. And Pesach is hard. And you're cleaning out your house. And Shabbat is a mad rush, because you've got to get your food on the table, and you're going to sit down, and you're like, okay, light some candles, okay, have fun. All of a sudden, the fuzzy bubbles are not there, man. You know, in some moments when you're having Shabbat, it's all one and shalom and beautiful, and other times you're just like, I'm really tired. And you really have to sit on this. And then you have to shut up your face. We're sitting here because God has invited us to His table. This is why we're here. Like it. Okay. And you smile and you go through. And you spend time with God, even though you cannot feel the butterflies. Sometimes Daddy has to let go of the seat. He's never left you, but He wants to see you pedal. Because there's going to be times when you aren't feeling God that you're going to have to push through. And there's going to be times when other people are not going to be feeling God, and you're going to come up to them and go, suck it up, little pants. Do you believe that He's never left you or forsake you? Do you believe that He's there for you? Do you believe He's walking with you? That's what it promises. So believe it. No, but I just don't feel it. Shh. Sometimes faith is about not trusting what you can see. You know, that's an understatement, right? Faith is always about trusting what you cannot see. Do you believe He's there? In a world that's telling you you're all alone, you're unique, it's all about you, do whatever you want, sleep with as many people as you want, just be careful. Don't be a fool, rip your tool. And you can carry on and do your thing. I can joke, because this is what people are telling you, man, in school. And you can just do whatever.
I know it's all.
You're unique and beautiful.
Be unique just like the rest of us.
Exactly. And guess what? You're going to crash and burn just like everybody else. If paradise was about how many people you could sleep with, how much money you could earn, Hollywood would be the place to be. Why are people killing themselves there? Why are people committing suicide? Why are people miserable and alone, and they want attention so badly they have to flash pieces of themselves just to get attention? Men have to go, oh no, I'm being outshadowed by my daughters and my wife. I will go for a sex change to get some attention. You know what I'm talking about? And now all of a sudden it's about me for the next 5 minutes until something else comes along. With God, you have more than 5 minutes, you have an eternity. Why would you cheapen that for the quick and nasty now? You tell me what benefits. So I'll wait for the Lord, for He's hiding His face from the house of Jacob, and I will trust Him. Here stand I, and the children of the Lord has given me as signs. Notice, His children. are the ones that were given as signs. The children of the Lord. Here I stand, sure-footed in His promises, not letting myself get swayed, but I'm standing here firm. You know, I know I'm talking a lot tonight, guys, and we're probably not going to get to chapter 9, but deal with it. One of the most powerful things that I've been going through in the last moment is, or the last couple of months, has been setting up my heart to fight. Sometimes we go through these things and Hasatan comes against the wall, and then we sit there and we get hit, and we get slapped, and we get kicked, and we're like, why is it so hard? Because you don't have your guard up. You're not praying to God to open up the paths. You're not praying to God to sustain you. You're not praying to God to go ahead of you and keep the rear guard checked. You are going, I will meander through this and I will just go through this process and until you get slapped. God will use Hasatan to test you. But He will also use that time for you to go and kneel before God, because that's the only way you're going to get through this. And you're going to go, I have armor, I have a sword, I have a helmet, I have a belt, I have the sandals, I am moving forward. And one of this image that keeps on coming up in my head when I'm getting really tired, and it's been happening a lot lately, I don't know about you guys, but it just feels draining. And I believe that's because we're crossing rivers now. You know, not a couple of weeks ago, the same theme kept on popping up. God says, the hour is now. I will establish the promises that I've given you. And the same thing keeps on popping up. Parting Jordan, parting rivers, parting. I was like, it's time. And I get this image of someone, you know, like you in one of those games where you get those guys with the tape around their hands, like they've been preparing for a fight. And the guy's covered in sweat. But I just get this idea of this guy in the back, and there's just a lone light coming in, and the only thing he's doing is doing this. He's fought. He's tired. It's been hard. But he's saying, lay out the line. In everything I am, in everything we are doing, everything is God's plan for God's glory. Too much do we sit around and we kneel and we moan and we grumble instead of looking at this and going, Lord, where are we going? What do you need from me? Every day, Lord, I'm here. That's how you fight. You having issues in your marriage? Pray. You ask God to change you. You ask God to change your spouse. And you fight for your marriage. You having issues at home? You pray. You fight. Too many times we sit and we get grumbled and we pull out our blade that God has given us and we start slashing away at everybody else around us. It doesn't work. We need to be building up. Because what God is bringing us to is a place where we can be effective. If you choose to be. I can stand here, stand on my head and whistle through my bum. It will not change the fact if you have not given your heart. I'm talking about everything. Everything you are to God. And you're saying, I'm here. I'm scared. I don't know how to do this, but I'm here. And I am going to fight for this. This is who I need. This is who I want to be. I am standing here. I will trust Him. I do not see Him. Here I stand, and the children of the Lord has given me as signs, as portents in Israel from the Lord of hosts who dwells on Mount Zion. These kids are a constant reminder. I'm thinking of it. My feet are fixed. Now should my people say to you, inquire of ghosts and familiar spirits that chirp and moan, for a people may inquire of its divine beings, of the dead on behalf of the living, for instruction. Remember the word instruction is Hebrew, is Torah. Well, now you will no longer inquire of God and get His instruction, you will inquire the dead. You will go see spiritualists and mediums and fortune tellers and palm readers, and you will go inquire the flesh. what we want is not godly advice. What we want is justification for what we do. I will go to you, and I'll go to you, and I'll go to you until I get the answer I want. And if the godly people are not telling me what I want, I will go to the ungodly. And until they tell me what I want, and then, now you understand me. These people get what's going on here. This man is standing alone. Can you imagine being Yeshayahu with his 2 kids, with his wife standing there going, this is what the Lord has said. This is where we are. Surely for one who speaks thus, there shall be no dawn. There is no light. And he shall go about in it wretched and hungry. And he is hungry, and he shall rage and revolt against his king and his divine beings. He may turn his face upward, or he may look below, but behold, distress and darkness with no daybreak, straightness and gloom with no dawn. How many of you have felt like that when you've trusted in yourself without God? There's nothing. These people who are running around in these Muslim extremist sects are looking for their God to hear them. And there is nothing. You have a promise by God that He is there, that He will look after you, He will provide for you, that He will never leave you. But you need to understand everything is from Him. The very fact that you breathe today is because He has given you that breath. Choose wisely what you're going to do with it. Because those who serve Him have promises. Those who serve the world have destruction. And that's not just me trying to give you a pat on the back and go, oh yeah, I'm preaching like a pastor now. This is what the fruit is. People who do not have God are depressing, are fighting a losing battle, have no place to turn. And you have the opportunity to look into their lives and going, if you would just give God a shot, man, you'll be blown away by what He does. This is what my God has done for me. People do not want theology, they want testimony. What has God done for you? This is why we need to sit back and we need to have those moments around the campfire where we can listen to testimony after testimony of people that have been going through rough times, hard times, and yet they're still standing here with their fists raised high and they're going, yeah, I don't know. God has kept me safe thus far. And I only started to realize that when I gave my life to Him, because without Him, there is gloom, there is distress, there is darkness, and there's no hope. You can either choose to believe that and trust the world, or you can choose to rely on God and see what He has for you. Your choice. For if there were to be any break of day for that land which is in straits, only the former king would have brought abasement to the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali, while the later one would have brought honor to the way of the sea. The way of the sea? It's a highway called, it's literally called the Via Maris. And it runs down all the way down the south side along the sea. The Mediterranean is here. Okay, it literally goes down Vasco da Gama and goes all the way down. And you can track, it's one of the major highways down through Israel. Okay? Zebulun and Naphtali, check in the back of your Bibles for me, double check me. Zebulun and Naphtali should be near coastal plains. Look at the territory which they were allotted. Near the sea? Okay? Remember, if you control this road, you control trade. And because Israel is a land bridge between Egypt, Assyria, Babylon, Mesopotamia. Okay, remember, it's a land bridge between 3 different continents. If you control one of the main roads, you have your Morris, just imagine how much tax and trade you can control. God is putting you in a place of major importance. If you do it right, you will be wealthy. But He didn't put it there to pat you on the back and give you millions. He put you there to teach Egypt, Mesopotamia, Assyria, Babylon, and the places up into Europe, that every time you come through here, let me tell you about my God. Abraham was given this beautiful ability to, whenever he dug, boom, a well appeared. He found water in places where like, how did you do that? And every time he dug, we have found water, living water, life-giving water. Why? Because you need water to survive, especially in the wilderness where he was. And people would come up and they go, can we drink? Sure. Have you got 5 minutes? Let me tell you about what God is doing here. It is a well. It is an open opportunity. That's where your workplace is. That's where wherever He puts you. So that you can stop and you can go, you don't have to Bible bash people. You just have to walk. And as soon as they stop and they go, hey, why aren't you freaking out about this? God's got this. What do you mean? Open door. How did you get this rich? Abraham. You make everybody else look around like paupers. God chooses to bless me. What do you mean? Open door. It is an opportunity to speak life and give them that real living water that He's talking about. Zebulun and Naphtali, listen to that. Only the former king would have brought abasement to the land of Zebulun and Naphtali, while the later one would have brought honor to the way of the sea, the other side of the Jordan, and the Galilee of the nations. I want you to jump into your Bibles and look at Matthew 4, verse 15 and 16. What does it say? Yeah, okay, we're on the land of Zebulun and Naphtali.
The way to the sea along the Jordan, Galilee of the Gentiles. The people living in darkness have seen a great light. On those living in the land of the shadow of death, a light has dawned.
Who is that light? Right here. Okay. I'm going to read 9 for obvious reasons. Okay. It's quite long. It's not very deep. So for next week, homework will be 9. I've already done 9 so let's do 9, 10. Let's do 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay, 12 is a short one and you've already done 9. So I don't have a hectic amount of notes for 9, so it's not that, well, once I start talking, we know that, right? So we're going to do up to chapter 13.
Including
Up to chapter 13.
including what?
Up to. So 12. Finish end of 12. Alright. Any questions, any thoughts? Any extras? Anything else you found out? No.
So I just wanted to say something. I think the hardest part of my
Just hang on a second. Kevin wants to share something?
hardest part of my halakha has been trusting that I cannot see. I think it's the thing that I struggle with the most.
And it's one thing you're going to struggle with continually. Remember, this is not something that's popped up in a week. He took them through, he had to use Egypt to share what was already done. He gave them signs and wonders already for Moshe to show them that he was telling the truth. Then he had to give all the wonders, the plagues. Then only did they trust him enough that God trusted them enough to actually paint something and follow an instruction. Then he led them out to places. Then they still had to learn that he could part the Dead Sea. There were so many moments that they had their trust built up. Not because God was like, okay, stop this and check what I'm going to do. He was saying, look at what I'm going to do for you. And he put them in a difficult situation so that he could open up that door. He could make a way when there is no way. And when he does, you know within your heart, it is only God. And that's what he wants from you. He goes, that's it. Not by your strength, not by might, not by your intellect, but by God and God alone. Is this possible? And that is going to be your swan song all the days of your life. When people look at me and they go, what happened in your childhood? I can look and I go, I do not know how I got out of it alive. But by the grace of God. Friends, how is your company still alive after recession? But by the grace of God. And I've got testimony after testimony where He literally took us to the brink. And every single time, my swan song, my cry will be, I want to be like my Master. I want to be like Yeshua. I want to emulate Him with everything that I do. But everything in my life is glory to Him. And the only way you're going to get that is He's going to put you through your paces, to put you in situations, and you're going to go, okay, Lord, I don't know how, but let's move. And He's going to open up doors that are impossible to. I'm not going to tell you now, you will not get disappointed once or twice along the way. Because we get to a point where we believe He can do anything, and He does, but we want Him to do it the way we want Him to do it. And that's when He stops and He goes, listen, that is under my direction, because I know what's best, not only for you, but for the person in front of you, for the person on the left of you, for the person who's coming down the road. We get so frustrated at times, to use a silly example. For some reason you're on time and then all of a sudden you don't. Then your car won't start, then all of a sudden you've got to do this, you've got to do that, and then you're driving yourself crazy and you're getting there. And then you get there and the robot's out and and then you go through and then it's an extra 15 minutes that you're delayed, and then all of a sudden you'll go past an accident. That happened 15 minutes ago. That had you been on time, you would have been in the middle of it. And my boy, I don't need that for you. I need you to hang back. I need you to wait. And He will put you through these things. And instead of getting frustrated and getting annoyed, you go, Baruch Hashem, what are you protecting me from? Lord, continue to go out ahead of me, because I don't know what's around the corner. I don't know where we're going. I don't know if some oak is in an extreme hurry because, and we automatically assume he's driving like a moron because he's late for a meeting or something. Maybe he's trying to get to his wife who's about to have a baby. And she just phoned and she said, hey, I'm early, bud, you better get your backside here quickly. And he's all of a sudden driving, focusing on listening to his wife on the hands-free or whatever, and he's bolting it down. And he goes, I need this guy to get there, because what I've paid for that kid and that family is going to glorify my name. So I'm going to keep you back here just 5 more minutes so that he can go through knowing that I'm with him, and you can know that I'm still got this. The hardest part will always be letting go. It's not trusting in what you don't see. If we can believe that God died for us on a cross we never saw. We were never there, we never witnessed it. We have eyewitness testimony in the Word. And we have people, documentations outside of the Bible who swore the same thing to be true. Historical evidence of the fact. But you believe it? You believe that that same God who chose to come down to die for you, did that for you. So much so that you're sitting in this room studying His Word. You believe that that same God created everything around us by speaking words. That blows my mind. That He created all of life. And that He loves you so much that He will hold the entire universe in His hand. Comes down into your life and He taps you on the shoulder and goes, boy, pay attention. What you're doing is going to hurt you. Come home so that I can hold you, I can keep you safe. Because you need to be where Daddy is right now. We believe all of that. What we really struggle with is this. Because if we're so busy holding onto our sword or our checkbook and we're just going to swipe anybody that's in the way, our hands are so full that we can't lift up our hands and pray. Hebrew, you stand up in supplication. My hands are open. I'm crying out to you because only you can do this. Blessing, please. I love you. Help me. Guide me. Change me. I give you the little that I have. this little life. I mean, God who created diamonds and gemstones and gold and all the rest of it, you know, those aren't important to him. Those are just rocks. Wealth to us. What he really wants is your heart. And when we let go of the thing we're trying to hold on to or trying to sort out by our own hands, then we can really praise and we can lift up our hands and our hearts to him who can do these things. We will break ourselves if you try to hold on to those things as long as you can. Yeah?
I have something I don't know. It's weird. I started noticing. At first I was like, okay, whatever, and then now I've started noticing that I'm different at home and with friends and not at work. I'm peace and God loving and God woman and everything. And at work, yes, I know God is with me, but I seem different. I'm not like
That part
I
of
think
your
it was
life.
today or yesterday, my peace continued disturbed. I mean, I cannot control that part of my life at work, and I don't know.
It's not for you to control. It's for you to acknowledge that that part is broken and you lift it up to
That
God and
part
you're
is
saying,
broken. I
well,
need
Lord,
help.
this part is broken. I don't like this part of me. You take it and you fix it.
I know.
You have to give up that piece. He will put you through situations to show you that that piece is broken. And then you have to go, I don't like this. Take it. Nail it to the cross. Do whatever you need to do. Just get it away from me. And he goes, there we go. It's taken you how long to acknowledge the fact that that piece needs to go? But I needed you to see it first. When I first came back from Israel and you still struggle with this fleshliness and godliness, and you're like, yeah, this is awesome, I've been baptized and it's really sad. And then my friends, you know, like 2 weeks later, like, bro, where you been? Come, let's go to a pub. And you go to the pub and you have a couple of drinks and you're like, you know, I'm so excited about God. This is really exciting. You know, I was baptized. Isn't that awesome? And I was just like, but I'm drinking. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I can't really ostracize these guys because these are my mates. I want to share with them. I'm excited about this, but you don't really stop and consider what you were doing before. And you're sitting there and you're drinking and then you realize God's sort of like always freeze frame. And everything slows down and you stop and you step out your body and you look at this for a second and you stop and you actually listen to the way you are talking after the third or fourth hunters. You're like, oh, I didn't know I sounded like that. Dude, that guy swears a lot. And you're like, okay, I get it. When I drink, I sound like a moron. Okay, cool, done. Boom. And then after that moment, I was like, okay, guys, let's have coffee. Because I realized that part of this is what God sees. And I didn't like it. If I really loved Him, if I really wanted to change, I needed to see myself for myself. And I had to acknowledge how broken and how desperate I am and how much I need God. Because everything I've done in the past meant nothing. Brought me no happiness, brought me no peace, brought me nothing. From a worldly perspective, from a worldly perspective, I was successful. I was 25 years old, staying in a 2 million rand house. I had accomplishments. I had black belts. I had whatever. But when I came back from Israel and I sat in that room and I was by myself, I cried like a baby. Because all of this meant nothing to me. And all I wanted to do was climb in a car, drive to the airport, climb in the airplane and go back home. Because that's the first place in my life I actually felt full. Because He was there.
I'm just going to say, I think that's where Hasatan attacks us the most. We at work, because that's where we're supposed to do a lot. Not at home in the company area with our family, where everything's fine, it's where we're meant to be a lot. But every button is not just push, but hit with the sledgehammer.
It's funny you say that, say, because you say it's where you need to be the light. Now for me it's not at work, because I have a lot of peace at work, but with certain people who I know God's made very clear to me that I'm supposed to be like, it's the hardest for them to keep my peace. And I fell over and over again. So it's actually funny, because it's like, it's those, it might not be at work with everybody, it might be with a person at at home, it might be exactly where God wants you to be the light. That is where the devil's pushing the most.
That's when you put on your gloves and you lift up your hand and you're saying, I'm doing this for God. That image has stuck with me. Le Adonai, to God, for God. I'm going to stand here and fight. And I'm going to watch him part rivers, because people, we are moving. Whatever is coming, we are crossing borders. Amen?
Amen.
Bedtime is